He owns and operates the Pack-A-Day podcast that airs 365 days a year with over 12 million views on YouTube. A new adventure begins. It's time for the Pack-A-Day radio show with Andy Herman on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook and on the free Odyssey app.
But Watson in motion on 3rd and 10. Love steps up on the run. Wide open, Jaden Reed. Make a man miss. Reed, goodbye. Touchdown, Packers, 70 yards.
Good morning. Happy Wednesday, Packers Nation. Welcome into the Pack-A-Day radio show live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan studios and powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I love starting the day with a good Jaden Reed touchdown that is courtesy of NBC. We're going to be talking about Jaden Reed in just a moment. There's a reason why. Also, we've got Camille Davis coming up, 8:20 AM, Pack-A-Day podcast, Locked On Bucks. We've got a lot to discuss with her. Always great catching up and chatting with Camille. So again, we'll do that at 8:20 AM this morning. Also, would love for you to join the show. Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text Line 414-677-1250. Again, 414-677-1250. We've got a lot to get into. We're going to be talking a lot of Green Bay Packers today. Like I said, Jaden Reed here in just a moment. Before we get there, Tommy, you are a youth. I am not.
Yes.
There are some rumblings, not even rumblings. It's confirmed that the Packers are going to have some new throwback jerseys this upcoming season, and they're going to be unveiled during the opening. I think it's going to be during the owners, the stock, meeting or whatever. But it's early on in training camp. What is your take on alternate jerseys, throwback jerseys, the current jerseys, the home away? How do you feel about Green Bay's jersey situation?
Well, I do like a good throwback / alternate jersey from any team. I will clarify with that. I will also say that the iconicness of Green Bay's uniforms being green and yellow and the logo being just the G is up there at the top end of sports, in my opinion, too, with how important it is. That being said, like those Acme jerseys were fire back in the day. I loved those. I thought that they missed a little bit of an opportunity on like some full yellow jerseys at the top as well, that I can appreciate a good ugly uniform. But if, I like the Bumblebee Steelers. I know a lot of people don't like the Bumblebee Steelers. I loved Color Rush. I know a lot of people don't like Color Rush. It's all like subjective to me for sure, but I am open to it, but I understand why Green Bay does not do it.
I think we're very much in lockstep on this, actually, which is probably not great radio, but we're going to agree, I think, nonetheless. Here's where I'm at. Do not change the home jerseys. Do not change the away jerseys. Those two are beautiful. They're iconic. They need no updating. They are perfect. They're pristine. They're some of the best jerseys in all of sports. I don't need anything changed. For 2 to 3 games a year, 1 to 2, 3 games a year, whatever it is, whatever throwback, alternate, color rush, anything that you want, go have fun. I don't care. If you need to put something new in the Packers Pro Shop, if you want to do in all yellow and all black and all white and all whatever, I do not care. Go have fun. A throwback to whatever era that you want to throw back to, do it. That's totally cool. I think it's fun every once in a while to see them in something different, usually in like one of those like NFC, AFC matchups that's not a huge deal or whatever. Absolutely. Be my guest. Go do whatever you want for 2 to 3 games per year and make it something new, fun, interesting that, again, you could probably sell in the Pro Shop. I'm fine with that. Some of them I'm probably going to hate, which is totally fine. I haven't loved the Color Rush jerseys, but a lot of people really like them. And again, they get really geeked out and excited about seeing new jerseys or whatever. That's awesome. That's fun. So as long as for the playoffs and your 14 main games per year, it is staying the classic whites, the classic greens, and you're not updating or changing those in any major way. For a couple games per year, go do what you need to do, and I have no issue with it whatsoever.
Anytime they send Green Bay overseas, don't wear the green and gold. Wear one of the alternate uniforms. When you're in Brazil, wear an alternate uniform. When you're in London, wear an alternate uniform. I would almost argue that the home jerseys are the most non-negotiable maybe in sports. Like, they have to wear green at home. And I know if they're going to wear an alternate, and when they wear an alternate, they're going to wear it at Lambeau Field. But
usually, yep.
I would say that if you wanted to have something that I would feel is almost non-negotiable, when they're at Lambeau, they wear green. Like, that's what should happen every time.
I'm totally cool with that. It obviously makes it a little bit more difficult for some of the alternate jerseys because on the road you usually have to wear white, and then it just gets a little bit more complicated. But I'm totally with you. And again, whatever they want to do for those couple games, do it. Have fun. No worries. I'm not going to get upset about it. And if it does end up being ugly, I can manage it for a game, still cheer on my team, and it's not going to affect my enjoyment of the game one iota. So I'm totally cool with that. I'm excited to see what they look like. Hopefully they look pretty cool. That's always better if they have good alternative jerseys and throwback jerseys. That makes it that much easier to kind of get on the palette. But overall, no issues with it whatsoever.
Those Acme jerseys, Jordy Nelson used to look so fast. He used to look so fast in those jerseys. Just the little circle yellow with the 87 in there, right? You know what I'm talking about? Brown helmets.
Absolutely.
Like, he just looks so fast in those. I remember that clear as day. But agreed. Like, I will probably not like the alternate uniform, to be fair.
That's probably true as well. Here's what I'll say too, and this might be a hot take. I'm not a huge green and yellow guy for stuff that I wear personally. Like I usually, if I'm going to wear a Packers stuff, it's going to be like a black shirt with like the Packers logo on it, or a white shirt with the Packers logo on it, something like that. The throwbacks with the navy blues, man, every single piece of like navy blue Packers merchandise, man, I absolutely love that stuff. I've had so many navy blue sweatshirts and things like that with the Acme Packers on it. That stuff is usually fire that they get in like the Packers Pro Shop as well. So I'm also a huge fan of that. If anything that they want to do again with the throwback navy blues, I don't even care what the jerseys look like. All the other merch surrounding it, they're gonna probably make all the money they need off of me during that week from me buying all the stuff. So that's another perk of it from my end of things.
Yeah, it pops on gray, the green and gold too. When you have like a gray sweater with it, gray sweatshirt, shirt, whatever it is, the green and gold just pops on a gray shirt better than most colors, I think. And that's what I would get if I would get something. I agree. I don't traditionally wear a lot of green or yellow Packers merch, but it pops on gray, man. I love a good gray sweater with the G on it.
Right there with you. All right, the reason I played that Jaden Reed audio is we're going to get to my most underrated Packers, and spoiler alert, Jaden Reed is going to be one of those in just a moment. I've got 12 on my list, Tommy. When I say most underrated Green Bay Packers, and you can kind of take this in any direction that you want. Maybe you can take it from maybe the national media doesn't give the players the respect that they want. The way that I kind of looked at it is the Packers fan base, which is a tough thing because obviously fans are all over the place, but maybe a player that the fans are a little bit too low on when it comes to their overall performance. I even have one in here that I think the Packers themselves as an organization are too low on. So I'll let you go in any direction that you want. When I say an underrated current Green Bay Packer, who immediately comes to mind for you?
Well, I'm going to cheat and I'll say Jaden Reed at the top right there as well. But I do think that Jaden Reed, it should be noted, I think he had 2 weeks of fantasy football top wide receiver last season. He absolutely should have more plays drawn up for him on the offense. So I think that as far as the Green Bay Packers rating players, I think they are underrating Jaden Reed. And I worried about that when Matthew Golden came in, just on knowing that he's automatically probably going to get less touches with the distribution now of the Packers football. I do think Jaden Reed was very underrated last season, and it really no excuse. He shouldn't have been a 1,000-yard receiver. He just went absent in a lot of games, and I think maybe part of that was on him, but I also think the scheme was probably just not lined up in his favor during those moments as well. So he does come to mind. Probably would have said him even before, but absolutely with you setting it up like that at the beginning, I had to take Jaden Reed as the first answer.
Yeah, no, that's who I had first on my list. So actually, I technically have second. I'm lying, but I'm going to put Jaden Reed on there no matter what. There's no real order to this. To me, here's where I'm at with Reed. First year and a half of his career, he was phenomenal. I mean, he was absolutely phenomenal. Yes, he hit a wall in the second half of last year. I don't know why. Maybe it was scheme. Maybe it was play calling. Maybe it was injury. Maybe he just hit a sophomore wall. Who knows? I don't know. I don't expect that to be the norm. I expect the first year and a half to be the real Jaden Reed that we saw that we're going to continue to see moving forward. I do think he was a little bit banged up. We know he has a shoulder injury. He was the 50th best wide receiver by PFF's grades last year. And that is a mid-tier number 2 wide receiver. And like that to me that's last year in half a year where he, again, didn't have the production that you would expect from him. That to me is the low side for Jaden Reed, is the 50th wide receiver. I think he can be in that top 32 pretty easily, whether we want to label that a number 1 wide receiver or not. I don't really care. It doesn't really matter. What I'm hoping for a little bit this year, Jaden Reed has been a slot wide receiver, a gadget guy, a punt returner. I'm hoping, and he hasn't been a very good punt returner, by the way. He's whatever. He catches the ball most of the time, but outside of that, it's not super dynamic. I'm hoping McCole Hardman or somebody can take those punt return duties. I'm hoping McCole Hardman or Savion Williams or one of those players can take the sort of gadget, and what I even want to say by gadget is the decoy plays, the ones where Jayden Reed is sprinting on a wide motion where it's literally just to kind of draw the defense. Like you're almost like wearing him out on a sprint across the field for kind of nothing, right? I'm hoping Savion Williams, McCole Hardman, somebody can take a little bit of that off his plate. I want to see Jayden Reed at wide receiver. I want to see him play the slot and let him go run routes and let him win. And I think if you can do more of that with him and less of some of the other stuff, I think you're going to see an even better Jayden Reed through the course of the season. So if you are going to take some of the distribution away from him, take it away in the punt return and the gadget stuff, and let him be a true wide receiver, because I think he's fantastic. I had a massive grade on him this past year, again, even in the situation where he didn't have a great second half of the season. I expect a huge bounce back from him.
I have one more name I'd like to just predict or put out there beforehand. Rasheed Walker. Walker, I think, extremely underrated for the Green Bay Packers. And last season, I think the argument is Rasheed Walker didn't make a lot of noise on good news, but I felt like it was a quiet left tackle position all season. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, in my opinion, for the Green Bay Packers. No, he is not David Bakhtiari. I understand that. But to have this position battle seems a little unjust, I think, for Rasheed Walker. I thought he was totally sufficient, and maybe more so, at the left tackle position last year watching the game. And Jordan Love was sacked 14 times last season, and predominantly a lot of those come from that left tackle side in traditional blindside NFL football, right? So I thought Rasheed Walker was severely underrated last year, and it kind of hurts me that he is up in the air about his job this season.
I mentioned earlier that I have two names on this list that I feel like are underrated from the organization's point of view. Rasheed Walker is one of those two players. The other is Sean Rhyan. I feel like these are two really good offensive linemen, starting caliber offensive linemen, and it feels like they have to continue to scrap and claw and do everything in their power just to get on the field sometimes. Like they constantly want to put them in competition, which I'm all for the competition. And I get Walker and Ryan are both in the final years of their deal, and you may not be able to re-sign them next year. So if you can start grooming Jordan Morgan and an Anthony Belton, I totally understand that to some extent. But I had to listen, Tommy, and everyone had to listen for the past 2 years of how Josh Myers is playing the best football of his career, and he's going out there and he's competing and he's battling and he's getting better, when he was playing really bad football. And we saw that evidenced by the fact that the only contract that he was able to get on the open market was a 1-year, $3 million backup deal for the Jets. He's not even a starter for New York. He's a backup on a 1-year, $3 million deal. Yet Rasheed Walker, who's probably going to get, 18 to 20 million on the open market next year, assuming he doesn't have a terrible season or get benched this year. And Sean Rhyan, who's probably going to get in that, John Runyon Jr. 10 to 12 million per year on like a 3-year deal territory in free agency next year, have been playing really good football. And they, again, have to battle tooth and nail just to be like, yeah, I deserve to be on the field. And Rasheed Walker, especially, Dan Moore just got over 20 mil per year on a contract going over to the Tennessee Titans. Rasheed Walker is better than Dan Moore. And now Rasheed's in this situation where if he just goes out and starts and plays the way that he has over the last 2 seasons, he's going to get an 18 to $22 million deal on like a 3 or 4 year contract. He might get like $88 million. And if he doesn't win that battle with Jordan Morgan, or like has to split time or gets benched at some point during the season, like it could literally cost him like 40 to 50 million in contracts.
Right.
Now I'm right there with you. I think Rasheed and Ryan are really good starting offensive linemen that'd be starting for the vast majority of teams. And it just sometimes doesn't feel like they get either the benefit of the doubt or the credit. And again, I'm all for the competition. Do it. It'll get the best guy out there. But those two have had to fight for it. And so far, kudos to them for winning those battles.
Do you think the organization judges him because of who he replaced, right? With Bakhtiari, was always kind of a part of the plan, but then it never really worked out at the end of his career because of the injuries. Like, do you think that plays any factor in it at all? Because I don't know what else is the bad news surrounding Rasheed Walker.
It's a weird thing because there is some level of inconsistency with both players, with both Walker and Sean Ryan. They're not perfect players by any means. But again, the hard part is that the most inconsistent player on the team was Josh Myers, and there's no competition for him. It's just like automatic. Yeah, of course he's our starter. And it was like, that's the maddening part is they had, players that were not as good, that were unquestioned starters, and those two again had to kind of fight for it. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to your question. Again, in general, I think both of them. It's not like insulting that they have to have competitions or whatever, but I do think that both of them are good enough to just be starters. And again, I think the other thing you have to look at is you go out and sign Aaron Banks to a 4-year, $77 million deal, and Sean Ryan's probably looking like. I'm a free agent next year, and am I just going to walk out the door? You drafted me in the 3rd round, developed me, and now you're probably not going to have any money left over. I'm going to have to go somewhere else. Like those are just things that, and same thing potentially with Rashid as well. So it just kind of upsets the apple cart a little bit. Those are two that I definitely think again get a little bit underrated from the organization themselves.
I completely agree with you. What about on the defensive side, Andy? You got any defense guys?
I'll let you go first. Do you have a name that comes to mind? I have multiple.
I will say I am trying. That one was a personal pick. Now I'm trying to predict you. I think you're going to have Carl Brooks on this list.
I do not. I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
All
I
right.
hope you're right. I love Carl Brooks. I just think I don't know where to place Carl Brooks at the moment. I think he's accurately rated. I think everyone likes Carl Brooks, but it's not like he's done anything spectacular yet either. I thought it was a little bit of a little bit of a step back last year from where he was as a rookie. So I'm excited for him in year 3, but I think he's probably appropriately rated.
I think his playing time got hurt, right? I mean, it seemed like we saw him a lot less last season.
I agree. I'm going to go through these lightning round, offense and defense, the remainder, and I'll let you kind of finish up with anyone that stands out to you.
Okay.
Underrated Romeo Doubs. This is somebody that had a 73.6 PFF grade in 2023, had 56 touchdowns, 674 yards, and 8 touchdowns in 2023. He had 6 catches, 151, and a touchdown against Dallas in that playoff game. Played really well against San Francisco as well. Is sort of Jordan Love's kind of go-to in big situations. And I understand the trade conversation if you're going to lose him in free agency or whatever. I just think he's too good of a wide receiver. And I think if you want to be the best version of the 2025 Green Bay Packers, he needs to be on the roster. And I have no interest in trading him away. At the trade deadline, if you're not doing well or some team makes an offer you can't refuse and every other wide receiver is playing great, sure, discuss it. But at this point, Romeo Doubs should be on this team. Next, I'm going to go Aaron Banks. And we just kind of talked about the 4-year, $77 million. I think sometimes we can't look past the dollar sign. And just every time you look at Aaron Banks, there's just like a 77 and a dollar sign in front of it. And you're looking at it and it's just like, is he going to be worth that money? All right, take that aside. They already paid him that money. It's done. It's over. They can't change it. Just him as a player is a really good offensive lineman. And I think he's going to be a big time value add to this team. So I understand. I get that you have to be sort of concerned and worried about how Green Bay's using their resources, but it's already done. It's over. They paid him that much. And I think now that he's on the team, he's going to really benefit this team, and I'm excited that he is a Green Bay Packer. Jordan Morgan. This is another situation where, again, I think everyone looks at him and it's like all they see is the first-round pick, and it's not who I want in the first round, and Cooper DeJean was available. All right, throw all that aside. Cooper DeJean's not a Green Bay Packer, and he had some injuries last year. Before the injury struck, I think he was actually going to beat out Sean Ryan, right or wrong. We just kind of had that conversation for the right guard job. He was already rotating with Sean Ryan. And when he was on the field with a bum shoulder, playing not only a position he's never played before, but a side of the line he's never played before. He's always been a left tackle. Now you got to go right guard and right side and to a different position. I thought he was solid. I thought he was fine. Wasn't spectacular, but fine and solid as a rookie playing a new position is solid. Like, it's not a bad thing. And especially when you're battling multiple shoulder injuries as well. So I think he's going to be a really good starting offensive lineman for Green Bay. I think people just want to see like, oh, DeJean was available, and just don't give him the credit that maybe he deserves. This is another dollar sign one. Rashawn Gary. Has he lived up to the contract and maybe even arguably the top draft pick that he was? Probably not. But this idea that he's a bad football player, get him off the team or anything like that. He had 49 pressures in 2024, 15 more than anybody else on the team, was my 3rd highest graded player on defense, was PFF's 3rd highest graded player on defense. Like, he is still a top 3 defensive player on this team, took a huge step in run defense this past year. He is a very good football player that everyone should want on this team. Has he lived up to the contract, or is he an upper echelon defensive end getting 15 sacks per year? He's not. Would I like him to be that? Absolutely. But again, outside of the contract, to me, somebody that still is a very good football player. It's another one, can't get past the first round sign, LVN. Yes, he has not lived up to that first, top 15 pick. He's probably never going to. I feel very confident in saying that at this point. Hope I'm wrong. Hope he has a major breakout. But this idea that, again, that he's a total bust, that he can't play, that he's there. He is a fine rotational defensive end. Now, not what you spent a top draft pick for, clearly, understandably. It looks like a bad pick from Green Bay, but not necessarily a bad player. I still think he's probably the second or third best defensive end on this team at the moment and would be a rotational defensive end on any team in the NFL. So this is not your classic bust where it's like Ahmad Carroll, where you're like, I can't even get that guy in the field because he's so terrible. Clearly has not lived up to expectations. Still a good football player, and I think that sometimes gets lost. Edgerrin Cooper, however good you think he is, he's better. I'm just going to leave it at that. Tyron Hopper is another one. Again, third round pick, very high. Did not love the third round moniker. Didn't do anything in year one. I think he's going to have a really strong training camp in preseason and really battle Isaiah McDuffie for that number 3 linebacker spot. I think there's a good player there. I think we're going to see a little bit more of it in camp and preseason. I'm excited about him. The corner trio, Hobbs, Valentine, Nixon. As a trio, is it the greatest trio in the world? No. Would I have loved one more cover corner? Absolutely. But this idea that they're going to be the reason that this team sucks or that they're not going to go, they played really well this past season, even in some big games. I think they're going to be more than fine. Add Javon Bullard in there as well if you want. In fact, my next one on the list is Javon Bullard. I get Bullard had some struggles in coverage in the slot. He's a safety. This to me is a player that was still really good in tackling and in run defense. I think he's going to get better in coverage. I think he's more of a true safety than he is a slot guy. But I think if he can focus in on one position, he's going to be more than fine. And then last but not least, Matt LaFleur. There was that ranking that he wasn't in the top 10 of coaches. He's easily a top 10 guy for me. It's not even debatable. It might be number 10. That's okay. But he's clearly in the top 10. And anything under that to me is extremely, extremely underrated. So that's my list, Tommy. What comes to mind first?
Well, now I have to ask, if you're doing, other than players, is Brian Gutekunst underrated?
Yeah, we could probably put him in, I think, in that conversation as well. I think the league knows, and I think the Packers know. I think fans they want to put LaFleur and Goody on the hot seat like every single time. And it's just like they're not even close to it at the moment. It would take like a 4-13 season, something in that range, maybe 5-12 in order for them to get on the hot seat.
I agree. No, and I will say this. I'm going to disagree on Rashawn Gary. I'm over it already. I can't say he's underrated anymore. The contract means you're not underrated anymore. You are now rated higher and you are expected more. And if you're not living up to the contract, I can't say you're underrated. You got paid. You got your second contract in the NFL. And again, somehow at the end of the year, he ends up with 7.5 or more sacks. It's the most quiet 7.5 sacks every single season, it feels like. But I can't put him there. I love the Edgerrin Cooper pick because I do think I think that he is all-pro caliber, defensive player of the year type player, and we saw that in just his 13 or so games last season.
I'll say overvalued, underrated. I think he's not worth the. If we're doing it strictly based on contract, clearly the value is not there. I think if you're looking at it compared to fan expectations or fan viewpoint, I think he's underrated in comparison to the fan viewpoint. That's all I'll say. But I definitely has not lived up to the contract entirely, and I absolutely agree with that. All right, if you missed anything, you want to go back through our underrated list, guess what? We're going to be doing overrated tomorrow unless we get some crazy breaking news. You can check us out on the free Odyssey app or on thefanmilwaukee.com. We've got Camille Davis coming up next. Right now, a beautiful 70 and partly cloudy in Milwaukee. High of 73 today, low of 62. This is the Pack a Day radio show powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Pack-A-Day Radio Show live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I have not heard that song in like 20 years. A reminder that the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Nellis is coming up next from 9 to 11. Also join Packers all-time leading scorer Mason Crosby and Hall of Fame wide receiver Jordy Nelson at the Beloit Brouhaha Softball Slam, a charity softball game on July 27th at ABC Supply Stadium. They'll feature legends and Wisconsin and Illinois celebrities to raise money for Make-A-Wish Wisconsin. Register for your chance to win tickets at thefanmilwaukee.com. Joining us now on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law, is the one and only Camille Davis. You love her. We love her. She's on, I think, all of our radio shows pretty much every single week. You can find her on social media at Camille Monet. Camille, how the heck are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's cool. I'm looking forward to getting outside for a little bit today. So I'm in great moods today.
Yeah, it's some gorgeous weather. I know in Green Bay, it looks like it is in Milwaukee and in surrounding areas as well. Camille, we have so much to discuss. There's been a lot of Bucs stuff, which, you obviously covering him on Locked On Bucs. I want to get your take on that. We've got training camp coming up in just about 2 weeks here. I want to start with, we know that this is like listicle season, right? There's all these lists that are out there. So ESPN did running backs recently. They ranked the running backs. Josh Jacobs came in number 6 at running back. How does that feel? Too high, too low, just right? Where are you coming in on Josh Jacobs, number 6 on the list?
Almost right. Like it's in the range of where I would put Josh Jacobs. Personally, I think I'll put him probably like 5. When I did check that ESPN list and I saw that they still had CMC above Jacobs, I just kind of was like, I get it when he's healthy. But if we're going off of last year, I don't understand how you can rank him above what Josh Jacobs did consistently day in and day out on the field. So outside of that, I don't really have too many gripes, but I think he's a top 5 running back in the league.
I think the CMC conversation is an interesting one. If you told me I could have either a healthy CMC or a healthy Josh Jacobs, I'm taking the healthy CMC. If you just told me right now I could have either CMC or Josh Jacobs on this Packers team for 2025, unknowing what type of injury situations they're going to have, I'm easily taking Josh Jacobs. Just because I don't trust CMC to stay healthy for any period of time. And knock on wood, Josh Jacobs has done a really nice job of being able to stay healthy and carry the load. So I think just in general, I'm taking Jacobs. I can understand at least the argument for CMC. But yeah, just too many injuries for me to probably put him ahead of Jacobs at this point.
Yeah, same. And that's the only gripe I have against CMC at this point, which, I mean, your availability is a big part of how I rank players. So like not being available goes a long way, but talent wise, we know CMC is special. So I don't have any gripes about that part, but based off of last year, Josh Jacobs, I think should be, 5 over CMC, but that's splitting hairs at this point. It's not like they ranked him at 15th and I'm like, whoa,
right.
He should be higher than that, but he's in the range. He's in the right range.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. All right, the one that surprised me the most, PFF put out their offensive line rankings for the Packers and for all the 32 teams. Packers were 14th best offensive line, including behind some very interesting teams, including another San Francisco one here, the 49ers ahead of them, which have like Trent Williams, Dominic Puny, and not much else. Aaron Banks is now a Green Bay Packer. How did you feel about the Packers being the 14th best offensive line on their list?
Confused. I think that's the best word. Just a little confused at how they fell that far. Because if I remember correctly, too, they had the Packers O-line ranked at the end of the year last year, like 6th. So to drop from 6th down to 14th, it's like, did that many teams get better? Or are you thinking that the Packers line is going to regress that much? Because there are going to be guys moving along that line. You did add in Aaron Banks. So like there's some new pieces and you're having guys playing different positions, but I don't think that warrants a drop that far.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's an absurd ranking, in my opinion. And I think the fun thing with Green Bay's offensive line is not only do you have, I think, upside talent, I mean, you still have a first and second round pick in Jordan Morgan and Anthony Belton, who might not even get on the field and are going to push some of those starters. You lost your worst player in Josh Myers and have now added to that room with Aaron Banks. I think that's going to be an upgrade. You've got a player in Zach Tom who's really good, and you've got depth. You go potentially, if Belton and Morgan can play, you go 7 deep, and even if you lose one of those guys, you still have plenty of guys that can rotate in and play. So from a depth standpoint, from an upside play, from really no weak link, like no matter how you look at it, 14 definitely seems extremely low for me.
It does. And I think that their play this year will have them rise that rank because I think there's a level of competition in this position group in Green Bay that is going to really press guys to play even better than what you would expect because you have some guys on some contract years here. You have young guys behind them trying to get on the field too. I think, again, 14th a little too low, but I think through their play, they'll be able to rise those ranks. Kind of like when you get the Madden rankings and you're like, what? But as you play throughout the year, you can rise through the rankings. So I have a feeling it's going to be like that for the O-line too.
Don't get me started on Madden ratings. We could probably do a whole episode on some of the more ridiculous Madden ratings. That's for sure. All right. Sam Munson and Steve, I think it's Palazzo is how it's pronounced. I could be wrong on that, but they put together their list of top 25 players in the NFL under the age of 25. Their combined ranking, I believe is what it was, did not have any Packers. Now, Sam put out his list yesterday, and it did have Edgerrin Cooper towards the bottom of that list. Edgerrin Cooper, Tucker Kraft, probably the two that would potentially be in the conversation. But how do you feel? Do you feel like maybe one of those guys should have made the list, or are you fine with maybe Kraft and Cooper having to go out and earn it a little bit more?
I'm fine with having to earn a little bit more. Tucker Kraft was the one I was looking for on the list, to be honest with you. I felt that Coop just didn't get enough playing time last year to really rise on those type of rankings. Like, we can see the potential of him. We can see all this, which is why so many people are predicting a breakout year for Coop this upcoming season. But based on playing time and what he did on the field, I can understand keeping him off the list. But I thought Tucker might sneak on there towards the end, but he didn't. So again, it's list season. It's a great conversation starters. And I also think these are good exercises just to do yourself of like, where do you think things are currently in the league? And then take a look at that as the season goes on and say like, hey, they're performing or they're underperforming. So I think if they redo this list at the end of the year, I think you'll see a few more Packers on that list. And honestly, a sleeper pick who could end up on the list too, Carrington Valentine, someone who might be in line to get a lot more snaps this year with Ja out of the rotation. Someone just to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I'm hoping whether it's Carrington Valentine, Edgerrin Cooper, Tucker Kraft, Evan Williams, we could go on and on. I think Matthew Golden, I'm hoping that in the 2026 version of this, when you and I are talking about it, Camille, next listicle season, that we're talking about, maybe 4 Packers on this list of players under the age of 25. We're being joined by Camille Davis. You can find her on social media at Camille Monet. Of course, Locked On Bucks and the Pack-A-Day podcast as well, right here on the Fan Guest Hotline powered by Gruber Law. All right, a couple other Packers questions before I have to pick your brain on the whole Bucs situation. What are you looking forward to most in training camp, whether it be a storyline, a player, a competition? What immediately comes to mind when I ask you that?
The first thing is just that when training camp opens, I know football is really, really close. So that excitement of itself is what I'm looking forward to. But position-wise, of course, I'm interested in the wide receiver group. Just seeing who kind of breaks in the ranks there. I think we talked about this earlier in the year where I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if a trade happens for the Packers where they trade out a wide receiver because of the depth they have at that position group. But just seeing how the young guys integrate in there, who rises, if we see any differences from some of the young wide receivers from last year, growth in that way. So that's a big one for me. And honestly, the other one is same side of the ball, the running backs, because I really want to see what Lloyd has. He's someone who's been talked about a lot, but injuries have kind of derailed him getting on the field for any meaningful minutes. So just want to see Lloyd and what that combination of him and Jacobs might look like.
We are 14 days from training camp, 22 days until the Hall of Fame game, 24 days from family night, 31 until the Packers' first preseason game, 48 days till cut down day, 57 until Cowboys Eagles, and 60 until Packers Lions. So we're getting there, Camille. Like you said, it's right around the corner, and hopefully it'll be here before you know. I don't want to wish it too quickly, too fast. I love going through all these processes, and just going through training camp is I feel like a rite of passage in summer as well. So I'm looking forward to all of it. I don't want to wish any of it away, but that first regular season game is going to be here before you know it. All right. We've got to talk Packers Bucks, or sorry, not Packers Bucks. We have to talk Milwaukee Bucks, excuse me. This was a crazy week from the Milwaukee Bucks standpoint. One of probably, I don't know, is there a week that was crazier that you can remember in your time watching or covering the Bucks? I mean, that is a lot of transactions, including 2 massive ones in releasing and waiving and stretching Damian Lillard and signing Miles Turner, not to mention all the other side moves that they did during the course of the week. That's about as busy of a Bucks week as I can remember.
Yeah, the amount of transactions for sure. Like the reactions, I can only think of a few, like when the Bucks traded for Drew Holiday, the surprise. of that when they traded for the surprise of trading for Dame, seeing that they traded Chris Middleton, of just like, wow, it's the end of an era for Kyle Kuzma, question mark. But then this one was, I think, even more shocking because it comes in that the Bucks are signing Miles Turner, and you're like, how they don't have money to give him a 4-year $107 million contract. So you're thinking, like, is it sign and trade? Did they finally use the 2031 draft pick? And then you see the next part of, like, they're waiving Dame. And it was just like my mind exploded of like, we're really going to have $22.5 million in dead cap space for the next 5 years to do this. Like, unexpected. And I say it all the time, but every move that John Horst makes might not be successful, but I applaud him for continuously going at it. And if he sees something isn't working, he is not shy to pull the cord on it and be like, you know what? This didn't work. Need to pivot again. So I respect him for that. But yeah, this is one of the more shocking weeks Bucks that I can remember over the last 10 years for sure.
If I told you right now everyone's healthy in the playoffs, who are you certain is going to be in that starting lineup come playoff time for Milwaukee? Because it feels like there's going to still be some transactions that need to be done, whether it's now, whether it's at the trade deadline, whenever it might be. It feels like there's still going to have to be some things that they do to kind of rework this. Who are you confident, again, assuming everyone's healthy, is for sure in that starting lineup for Milwaukee?
Of course, you got to start with Giannis. I think that's the one, and Miles Turner probably is going to be right there next to him. So you can go that route. The other three is where it kind of gets interesting. I don't think that Kyle Kuzma should be starting for the Milwaukee Bucks. And I think that the Bucks fell into their best lineup when Dame was injured last year, which is why bringing back Gary Trent Jr., Kevin Porter Jr. was so important. So I'll go with the starting lineup of Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Trent Jr., let's go AJ Green, Giannis, and Miles Turner. I think that might be the best five they can throw out there at the moment. But of course, we'll see how that shakes out as the season goes on. Maybe it's Ryan Rollins in there as well. Who knows? But I think that that's the group that you really want to try to see what they can do.
Well, kind of my follow-up question on that is we're being joined by Camille Davis. You can find her on social media at Camille Monet, Locked On Bucks Pack-A-Day podcast. Is, as I mentioned, it feels like there's going to have to be a couple other things that maybe John Horst does. Are you of the mind that if you're going to do this, waive and stretch Dame and sign Miles Turner, like there's kind of no tomorrow? Like you kind of have to go and use that 2032 unprotected first, try to trade either a Kuzma or Portis or both and get what you can to maximize this lineup right now to maybe even it out a little bit, maybe get another backcourt piece. Obviously, if they could get Bradley Beal as a minimum type signing, that would be huge. I don't know that that's actually going to happen, but do they need to kind of go for it now and just continue with what John Horst has already done by being super aggressive?
I think there's quite a few different ways you can go at it. And I think depending on what they do now, them pushing back the guarantee date on Andre Jackson Jr.'s contract was interesting to me because you can see they're still prioritizing flexibility for something. We don't know what that something is right now, but they are keeping their options open. I don't think they need to go in and make that move right now this offseason. I think that's something that could be utilized at the trade deadline if need be. I think that there is a chance for Kyle Kuzma to rehab some of his value throughout the course of the season if the Bucks can put him in better positions. And then it's not so much like we have to attach this as like a dump to make sure we get off of this asset, but rather like, hey, you've seen he's all right. He can do a little bit. And then we can also attach this here and try to get another player that fits into the timeline. Or ideally, I think like a younger player that maybe hasn't hit an all-star game yet, but you can see the potential in them to get there. Like I've been mentioning like Trey Murphy is somebody who I'm interested in. Of like, if they can find a way, because the growth that he took last season, you can see he's kind of developing into something special. So a player like that, I think is worth that 2031 draft pick. And then too, if you keep waiting, that 2032 opens up as well. You have a few more different draft picks you can play with.
Yes, they have the versatility there a little bit, kind of for the first time to have some assets that they can play with, which, again, I'm going to be interested to see how they potentially utilize this. Before we get you out of here, Camille, let me just simply ask this. I know you mentioned, I said almost verbatim the exact same thing yesterday of like whether you like the moves or not. I appreciate the aggressiveness. This is definitely going to have some potential long-term pain for Milwaukee when you waive and stretch Dame and you're going to take the cap hit over a 5-year period of time. It's going to limit them to some extent down the road. Was this the right move for Milwaukee? There's a couple ways to look at it. Just waiving Dame and bringing in Miles Turner in and of itself. Also, there was potentially the option of, instead of getting a Miles Turner, you could have maybe separated that into 2 or 3, good players that also could have gone along Giannis. Was Miles Turner the right play in that situation? So how do you feel about the moves in totality?
I think Miles Turner is the right play, especially after losing Brook Lopez, who, I want to put it on record, 11 needs to be in the rafters for the
I
Milwaukee
love
Bucks.
him. Yeah.
He is the perfect front court complement to Giannis, because you look at what Brook Lopez provided, a 7-footer that can stretch the floor and protect the rim. You get that in Miles Turner, whose age aligned beautifully with Giannis. I believe they are the same age, so they can grow together over the next 3-4 seasons. You don't have to worry about, like, man, he's getting a little too old now. Like, they're going to be on that same timeline. And Turner also gives you a little bit more foot speed when it comes to closing out at this point, which is something that was lacking from Brook Lopez at 37 years old, which is expected from a 7-footer at that age. So it's hard to find the right big to pair next to Giannis because of Giannis' skill set. You kind of have to have that floor stretching big next to him, which is why I think some of the draft prospects they've taken, with a Tyler Smith who projects to be a stretch 4, maybe a big 3. We'll have to kind of see how that shakes out for him. And even getting Bogey Markovich this year, where it's like he's still raw. But again, he's a big that can stretch the floor, which is really important next to Giannis. And when you look at the market, there just aren't that many of those type of players that you can go and get. So to get a Miles Turner and lock him in for the next, 3-4 years, I think was the move to make, because again, finding that perfect front court mate next to Giannis is really important. And when you can go and get one, you got to kind of pull that trigger.
It certainly makes for a very intriguing offseason and a very intriguing season coming up for Milwaukee. I can't wait. I'm excited to see if there's any more moves that they do make, how they round out the rest of the roster. If they bring over Bobby, if he ultimately ends up overseas still, there's a lot of still decisions to be made. And I know you're going to be doing an expert job of covering it over on Locked On Bucks. What else do you want to plug on the way out, Camille?
Yeah, Locked On Bucks, Monday through Friday. We're still here 5 days a week, wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Of course, the Pack a Day podcast. Make sure you guys check that out. I'm on the audio side every Monday. And then the Technical Foul podcast, TECKNICAL. We cover NFL, NBA, and WWE wrestling. This week, we did a special Tech Files Cinema episode where we covered the untold Netflix documentary Shooting Guards, and just gave our recap on that. And I believe next week we're going to be covering quarterback, since the new season just came out for that as well.
Here's what you got to watch All In this weekend, and then you need to cover All In from a wrestling standpoint as well. That's what I want to hear on the Technical Foul podcast, Camille Davis. I appreciate you so much. You do such an incredible job covering a variety of different things, whether it be wrestling, Packers, or the Bucks. You're the absolute best. Well, I'm sure be talking to you soon here on The Fan on all of our shows, because we all love having you on. You enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon.
For sure. Take care.
You bet. That's Camille Davis. A huge thank you to her for joining us on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Make sure again to follow her at Camille Monet. It's the Pack a Day Radio Show. We'll be right back.
Now hands it off. Jacobs cuts to the outside. Josh Jacobs inside the 20, the 10, to the end zone. Touchdown. His second today. Takes it in from 38 yards out.
We are back on the Pack-A-Day Show. I'm not going to go anywhere further with that, but thanks so much for being here. Huge thank you to Camille Davis. Did you want to finish it up, Tommy? You want to finish the wrap?
No, I don't, actually. I'm sorry.
Andy, the floor is yours if you'd like to take
Andy,
it.
that was the oldest you looked, man. That was it right there. That was it. I've kept you young.
I said Peachy Keen.
Yes, Peachy Keen.
This is the second oldest I've looked.
Yes.
All right. We can agree on that. This is the Pack-A-Day Radio Show. A huge thank you to Camille Davis for joining us this past segment. Reminder that the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch and Ellis is coming up from 9 to 11. Also, an important PSA for our listeners. The Pack-A-Day Radio Show is also a podcast. You can find us anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Catch the full episode, listen by individual hour, or jump straight to the highlights. The whole show is a highlight, Sparky, as you're writing this read. The whole show is a highlight. There's no highlights. The whole show is a highlight. Just open up your favorite podcast app, search Pack-A-Day Radio Show, hit the follow button so you get every minute of the show your way and on your time. As you're doing that, make sure to check out the Pack-A-Day podcast as well. Two different shows, a lot of Andy. There's a lot of Andy out there. Some might say too much Andy, but you can get it all wherever you get your favorite podcast, Pack-A-Day Radio Show podcast and the Pack-A-Day podcast. All right, Tommy, leadoff show coming up today.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought 2-0 versus the Dodgers in this series right now, Andy? Chance for the sweep with Quintana on the bump. Tyler Glasnow is pitching for LA. He's been out for quite a while, so he's going to be coming back probably on some sort of pitch count, but he's got nasty stuff. So I'm not too optimistic on how the bats will perform in this series, but I mean, yesterday Jacob Mizorowski is going to be massive topic of conversation. The guy's a freak, Andy, and he might be the most electric player in the history of the organization right now, and he's played 5 games. So I am all in on Mizorowski, and talking about him at the beginning part, we'll be joined by Austin Herdina 20 minutes into the show, get a nice little parlay for the people going, and Drew Wagner, of course, will join 20 minutes before the show ends today. It is a 12 o'clock start for the leadoff show for a 1:10 first pitch at American Family Field. I love day baseball, Andy. I love day baseball.
I do as well. I also love Jacob Mizorowski, and I love the medal. You give up the homer to Shohei Ohtani, and easily just could have been like, oh, this is going to be a rough day. And then he just literally goes on to strike out everyone from that point forward, basically. It's just against one of the best lineups in all of baseball, and it's special. It's fun to watch, and it's just must-watch TV every single time that he's on. And, you know, whether it's a Giannis, Aaron Rodgers in his prime or something, like every once in a while you get one of those players that you just every single time that they are out there, you want to make sure that you're watching. If you can be at the ballpark, you want to be there as well. But, and you get these really fun matchups. We've already seen, Skeens. We've already seen now Kershaw. Like every 5-6 days, you're going to get Mizorowski in a really fun, pitching match. And it's so fun. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, Andy, I've already said this a couple of times on air, but I mean, it's so traditional that, the Brewers aren't batting, let me go do something, right? I'm going to go to the kitchen. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to go get something to eat at the stadium. Wherever it is, you do that during the pitching side of things. It is completely the opposite. I would much rather just watch Jacob Mizorowski pitch for 9 innings. Just give the Brewers 2 runs to start the game, and then they never get to bat the rest of the game, and I would love to see what Jacob Mizorowski can do, just so I can watch him pitch for 9 innings. That's what I would love.
Playoff Brewers baseball. You've got 3 games. We're going Mizorowski. We're going Peralta. Going Woodruff? Who's your third? Who's your third starter? You going Quintana? You going Priester? Who are you feeling as the number 3?
Unfortunately, I think Priester will get moved to the bullpen during the playoffs. I don't think he will start a game.
Totally agreed.
I do think that first 4 you just named is awesome and sounds really good during that time. And I could see Quintana getting a game 3 just because you want to maybe throw something on. I love it when Quintana pitches after Mizorowski too, because
the change of pace is remarkable.
Yes, so I am all in on that. Where Quintana comes in, throws 91, and is just dotting it on the outsides right after you just faced 102 and a curveball that's 90.
Yep.
The slider. People don't talk enough about. I want to know if Mizorowski throws the fastest slider of all time. I don't think I've ever seen a 97-mile-an-hour slider, and he does it all the time. And it's remarkable. I don't know how you hit it. And no one talks about that enough. But if someone throws a faster slider, I would love to know. And I can probably search that pitch tracking data on StatCast and Baseball Savant to clarify. But I would be shocked if anyone throws a faster slider than Jacob Misiorowski.
What I'm going to love down the line, and not to spend a whole segment here on the Brewers, but it's tough when you're talking Misiorowski to almost not do it. What I'm going to love is when like he becomes an even better, like he's an unbelievable thrower right now, obviously, but when he even becomes like more of an expert pitcher, like when he knows how to, sort of set up things, there could be games where he literally just uses the slider as the fastball basically, and then like the curve as like your off speed. He could go like innings without even using the fastball, and then like all of a sudden when you need it, after you've seen this 97 and 90 mile an hour slider and curveball the entire game, just 102 out of absolutely nowhere. Like there's so many different things that he could do with his pitch range that it's just kind of remarkable to think about. So I'm so excited for him moving forward. All right, we're going to get to our Potawatomi Sportsbook final thought of the day.
You got to do some smart thinking.
It's time for Andy Herman's final thought of the day.
What are you thinking?
Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
What the hell were you thinking?
You're listening to the Pack a Day radio show on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan.
All right. It is listicle season, as we talked about with Camille Monet. I wanted to go through those three rankings really quick and just kind of give my take on them. Josh Jacobs, number 6 running back, totally fine. I think anywhere in like the 5 to 7 range, maybe 4 to 7 range would have been totally fine. Could I have maybe seen him over a Bijan Robinson, over a Jahmyr Gibbs, over a Christian McCaffrey? Sure. But do I have any major qualms with that? Absolutely not. It's easily in the argument. Could I have maybe moved him back one spot if you really felt strongly about one of the running backs behind him? Sure. But I think number 6 is right about right. And anywhere really between, again, 4 and 7 would have, I think, been totally fair for Josh Jacobs. Packers' 14th best offensive line is ridiculous. And there are some offensive lines that are ahead of them, including the Chicago Bears and the San Francisco 49ers, that just feel absolutely absurd to me. To me, they're a top 10 offensive line group. And I've actually even been lower on the Packers offensive line than most. And I still think 14th is very disrespectful. And then as far as Packers on the 25 under 25 list, kind of with Camille as well, let's see Edgerrin Cooper and Tucker Kraft go out and prove it. Hopefully a couple of these other guys as well. Don't think there's any real snub there. I personally probably would have put Edgerrin Cooper on that list of 25 under 25, but he didn't play a ton this past year. But when he did, he just looked absolutely phenomenal. So I think he'll be on that list sooner rather than later. Probably would have put it on it right now. He was on Sam Munson's list of 25 under 25, so he did have that going for him. But overall, no major qualms with the 25 under 25 or Josh Jacobs, but 14th best offensive line, definitely a stretch too far, and definitely think they should have been probably in that top 10 range for where they're at right now. All right, we've got a lot more to get to. We're going to be talking to Mitch and Mason here in just a moment, so do not go anywhere.